Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be joining us from. And welcome to another episode of Excelo's Best Practices webinar. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about resource utilization within not only your team, but also the Excelo software. Welcome again, and my name is Drew, and I will be your host today. We will be joined later on today by Katie Priest. Katie Priest is one of our product experts here at Excelo. And we're happy to share with you a little bit more insight into the Excelo software and some of the capabilities regarding resource utilization. Today, we will be talking about that resource utilization. We'll also be talking a little bit about how you can implement some of the things that we show you today in the presentation, and we'll give you a little bit of information about some additional resources that we have here at Excelo towards the end of the presentation once we've shown you some of the different things. A little bit about how the webinar works. Down at the bottom, we do have a Q&A section, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to go ahead and add your question there at the Q&A. Again, that's towards the bottom, and we'll be answering some of those questions later on in the presentation. So before we move in, I do want to talk about resource utilization, how it affects every business, right? Regardless of if you're 2 people or 200 people, there is a challenge about figuring out who's available and the capacity of those individuals when they are available. And that is something that the resource utilization can help you with. But that is a challenge that, regardless of your business size, regardless of what direction your business is headed, understanding your resources, and your resources being your employees, being the time that your employees have, and how that particular resource is currently being used, is scheduled to be used in the future, and how you can leverage that with your particular clients. So I talked about smaller companies and larger companies. And let's say, for instance, as you're just getting started with your business, maybe you are a very small business, maybe it is just yourself, and you're offering your services to clients, and you have a limited number of offerings because you are only one person. So not only from a time perspective, but also maybe from a skill perspective, you have a limited number of skills and offerings that you can provide to your client. Additionally, the complexity of your business is pretty limited, right? You may have a few packages. You may offer this as an all or nothing. You may offer some of these individual services, but again, it's a little less complex than as it might be as you grow. And additionally, you take pride in the work that you do. You take pride in the services that you can provide, and you take pride that you can provide those services very, very well. As your business continues to grow, your offerings continue to grow, and your standing is established within your clientele. And you begin to add some additional services. You begin to add additional employees who can help not only with the bandwidth of incoming traffic that you have, but also some of these additional services that are being requested and that you can continue to offer. And as you add those additional employees are probably going to be able to specialize in some services that you may have been very good at, but they may be great at those services. And some of those employees may be able to specialize in services that you could not offer before. When your team was smaller, or when it was just yourself, maybe you didn't have a particular social media expert, or somebody who could help provide chat support or information about ads and the best way, Google AdWords and things like that. And so maybe those skills are now something that you can offer as part of your packages. And we can see, particular skill sets here, different employees with different skill sets. What that really allows you to do is increase your different packages that you can offer. And the complexity that happens as you start to add additional packages, as you start to add additional one-offs here and there, or you start to customize your package on a per client basis, some of that complexity starts to increase the complexity in both your scheduling of your team and the forecasting of your availability. When you're talking to those clients and wanting to close a sale, you need to be able to see which skill sets are going to be available in the coming weeks, coming months, which skill sets are not available, and be able to accurately depict to your client when a realistic deadline can be met. And so obviously that particular challenge, you need a tool to help you with that. As your team continues to grow, there needs to be a tool that can help you look at availability of your different skill sets and how those can deliver on the different packages and the different sales that you make. One way to look at that, and within Excello, one of the tools that we have to help you with that is the team scheduling area. And in the team scheduling area, what's great about this is that we can see individual members' schedules and their capacity at this time. And we can actually filter this team scheduling area by not only type of work, so maybe we want to look at just projects, or maybe we want to look at specific projects or a specific type of projects. But we can also filter this by the skills. So we could filter the team members out by the skills that they're able to deliver on. And as we look at that, we can then see who's available, when they're available, and be able to accurately depict that to our client. In this particular screen, we can also schedule work. So as we're looking for a particular project, maybe we want to look for a skill and we need to schedule a particular part of that project. Maybe it's SEO optimization, or some work with some pay-per-click, that type of thing. And we filter out our teams, we filter out by skill, and we're able to assign or really schedule that work from this team scheduling area. So we're able to put something, a block of time auto-scheduled onto these particular areas. As we can see in this particular screen, Sally is a little underbooked. She, is that if we use that dotted line as total number of hours that maybe we can work in a given week, we can see that she's a little underutilized. We can see that ourselves as the owners are a little overutilized, and John is looking just about right? His utilization's almost at a full capacity there. And one of the things that we want to take a look at is how do we shift that work around so that when people are overworked, we can balance it out. Because we always want to maintain as much sanity as we can within our business so that nobody is becoming burned out, so that our resources that we have internally want to stay at the company and want to still be part of our team and still be part of our resources. So in this particular instance, us as the owners are working 140% over our estimated capacity for a general work week. Now, as the owners, we may always be overworked 140%, right? That's pretty common, that you're going to be putting in more hours than it says on your paycheck. But what having insights into your resource utilization allows you to do, what it allows you to do is it allows you to shift maybe some of the client work that's on your schedule over to somebody who's just as, if not maybe more capable, because they specialize in some of these skills, in delivering on that work, so that your 140% can be focused less on client work and more on optimization of your business, more on some of the administration things, more on creating workflows within your business so that things are running smoother, and so that the employees and so that your resources and colleagues are continuing to have what they need to accomplish their goals at the company. one way to look at that is that it allows you to work more on the business rather than in the business. Another way to look at this, as we shift some of those skills and some of those pieces of work, we can also look at this resource allocation based on our rates. And it allows us to really get an idea of profitability, and we can potentially even increase our profitability. If our hourly rate that we are charging the client stays the same for the work, regardless of who completes it, and we're able to move it to one of the associates rather than somebody who's in the leadership position or in the executive area, if we're able to do that, the rate that it costs the company is less. And so we're able to increase profitability on some of these different projects by shifting the work away from ourselves and shifting it into somebody who, again, is fully capable, if not more capable than us, on delivering on these services because they specialize. We're able to shift it over there and allow us to gain a little bit in profit based on that. Another challenge when we're managing this resource of time, right? All of our employees, if we look at their availability, that is a resource of skills and a resource of time, because if they're able to actually complete the work. As we look at that, we also want to be able to forecast to our clients where we have the availability to take on additional work. In the particular example that we see here in front of us, we can see that mid-August would be a great time for us to start booking additional time, right? July is pretty full. In fact, some of those blocks of time are a little overbooked. August is where it starts to empty out a little bit. And so we want to be able to sell that. We could sell a full package to one of our clients here in the middle of August and be able to confidently say that we would be able to deliver on that work. Another example that I've actually seen with some of our clients here using this scheduled dashboard area when they're talking about forecasting, I've actually seen some of our clients use this to negotiate with their clients. They'll pull this screen up when they're in negotiation with a client as far as timeline, as far as cost, and show them that their availability in July, they have a lot of commitments there. Right? They've committed to several different people in July, and they've already booked that time for them. And then in August is where things start to open up. Now, some of those clients some of their clients will then insist that they want to have their package or their services delivered sooner. And the clients that I've seen use this for negotiation can then say, okay, well, here's the number of hours, or here's the amount of dollars that we currently have committed in July. And if we were to move those people, we are now inconveniencing those clients that we've already set up. So, that's a hit on our credibility, and we have to ask them to move. So if you do want some time in July, that's fine, but here's the cost that it's going to cost for us to move that time, for us to move the committed work that's already there. So like I said, some people do use this for negotiation, but it really does give you an idea of forecasting forward. When you're working with a client, you can quickly see a large overview of, okay, where do I have availability? And how can I deliver on that? In addition to the schedule dashboard, we also like to look at some areas. We always want to see where we can increase our efficiencies within our particular team, and we want to see how we've been using time in the past. And the team utilization dashboard in Excel really allows you to look both forward and in reverse. So you can look in the past and say, okay, how did we use our time? How much of our time was used? Again, the dotted lines here representing the total possible hours. So we can see some shifts in staff that we had on hand with those dotted lines changing. But we can also see what percentage of our week was utilized. And what this is helpful in doing is that it allows us to analyze when some of our peak times are. Maybe it's the last week of a month that we go over 110% because we're logging additional time for, you know, other weeks that we forgot about. Maybe a week peaks because we were finishing a very large project for a large client and we had a deadline to deliver on. And so this really allows you to dig in and say, okay, what happened in that week? And how can we adjust for that if it's a problem, or adjust for it, you know, if it's working well? How do we replicate that particular week or that particular model in the future? This utilization dashboard also allows us to take a look in the future and see how things are scheduled right now. See where, again, we have some availability. But we can look at that utilization and map that to match similar weeks in the past, so that we can really start to optimize and optimize the company and add some efficiency. So that's a little overview of some of the different things that we have available in Excello, just from a theory standpoint. How does that, you know, belong to our business? What I want to do next is I want to invite Katie Priest in and have her give you a little bit more insight about how this looks in Excello and how you can access this within your own system. So, Katie, welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much, Drew.
Absolutely.
All right. So Drew just gave us a lot of, you know, what's possible in Excello and the theory behind it all. How if we truly are managing all of our work in one place, we have all of our resources captured in our platform and we know what their availability is, we can actually be very efficient in scheduling out work, understanding how busy our team is, and being able to look at the bigger picture across the company to make some bigger strategy moves, right? You know, when do we actually need to start hiring more people? When can we start committing timelines and deliverables to our clients in the future? Really operating in one spot is going to give us all of that insight. So I want to take us through today and show you some of those tips and tricks and actually show you what it looks like to realize some of those insights here in Excello. Cool. So here we are in the platform. We're in one of our demo environments here. So in this example, we're working with our client Delta Airlines. And I always like to start kind of at the backbone of Excello for anybody new, really to get the full picture of how all of our data is captured against the client record. So really at the heart of Excello is that CRM. You know, customers come first and we are doing all of our work for our clients. So it makes sense that we would naturally want to organize and capture all of the different types of work that we're doing. So our 4 core modules, just as a refresher for anybody that knows this well and anybody new that's joining us today. This is our companies and contacts. That's kind of that CRM where everything rolls up to. And that work can be things like our sales opportunities and quotes, our projects, and we'll have some great scheduling functionality throughout. Any of that ad hoc work that comes up, any of those requests from our clients, we capture those in our tickets module. That can be things like actual support requests, or it might be change orders, you know, just those unplanned things that come from our clients. We have a place to capture those. And then, of course, our famous retainers module, where we can automate and have a place to manage all of those ongoing contracts or retainers for the recurring work that we do for our clients. So that's what I'm talking about when I say the work is all captured under this company record. And because everything is being managed in one place, that's where we can start to do some really great scheduling and resourcing and things like that. So we'll take a look here at our work tab for our client Delta Airlines. I can see some of those example sales opportunities, some of the projects we have going on with Delta and how they're progressing forward, any of those ad hoc tickets, and our contracts or retainers down below. all of this work can have, different folks assigned to manage it. They can have, different tasks and to-do items, right? We might have to send a technician on site as part of a ticket. We might need to assign out a different Q&A for some of our project work, so on and so forth. So that's what we're really going to focus on today, is all of the different ways that we can kind of schedule and see what our full team's bandwidth is. So we'll take one of these projects as an example, our design, development, and production project for Delta Airlines. I have that open here. And now at the project level, typically what happens is we get a scope of work. Our client has agreed to have us do that work for them. So in the project level, we're ready to execute. That might also be at the ticket level and the retainer level, but we'll just use the project as an example for today. So typically when I get to this phase of a project, I'm in a planned status. And as a project manager, I have my entire scope of work ready to go. In this environment here, we've already put some examples out there for you guys just so you can see what it looks like to have time logged in the system. But typically it's a blank slate, right? As a project manager, the first question and the burning question that keeps me up at night is, how do I know who is available to do this work, to do this design work, or to do this install work? Who on the team is available? And we make that really easy in Excello to see what's going on. So the first place that I want to take us is actually to our schedule dashboard. When we're looking here at our schedule dashboard, we have all of those resources on the left-hand side, and then we start to see the bandwidth that we have coming up into the future. So we can start to sort by folks of a certain group. If I needed to see all of my designers specifically, all of my devs, all of my engineers, whatever that looks like, I can sort by group. I can even start to sort by skill set. So if any of my on-site technicians have special certifications for Cat5 cable runs, whatever that looks like, I can make sure to look at the bandwidth of the exact right skill sets that I need to assign for. And then across the top, you can see we're looking at a daily view here. I can also filter that by a weekly view. And I have really great insight here to how busy are these folks? What is it that they're working on? When do we have company-wide holidays coming up? When are folks on, PTO or holiday? I can truly see the high-level picture of the capacity across my company. Like Drew was mentioning, this is a really great place for business owners and managers to come in and even click ahead and say, well, we're pretty light in July and August, Mr. Customer. We can actually commit, several projects to our clients then. Or I can see, going back, we're actually pretty busy and pretty packed up. It's actually probably a good time to start hiring. We actually need to grow the business some more. So we're going to give you those insights in these different color schemes. Of course, this can be configured to match the colors that you all like to use, but those lighter blue colors are folks that are kind of underutilized. And as it gets darker and darker, we're reaching full capacity and even capturing completely overbooked here with Lee, for example, on the 24th. I can even click in and see exactly what Lee's been booked on, exactly how much time he's spending, and start to make some decisions to get Lee some help. In this example, Lee is only available to us for 5 hours a day. He's actually a part-time employee in this environment, yet we have him booked on over 9 hours worth of work, so we're obviously going to have to get him some help on that sales consulting stuff that he's working on. So again, the schedule dashboard is really a place where we can be pretty strategic. We can start planning into the future, start making some bigger business decisions. When do we need to hire? When can we start committing things to our clients? Because we're scheduling out the work here in Excello, we're able to have that kind of big picture insight. So with that in mind, let's pop back to our project. Right, I have all of these different tasks and milestones that I need to assign out to my team. Who is available and who has the right skill set so I can get these assigned out so that I can have that kind of bigger picture view at the schedule dashboard. So for that, we'll take you to our team scheduling tool. We can get there in a couple of ways. We have our schedule icon up top where I can go to team scheduling or even focus on my individual schedule. And then on the project plan itself, I can skip straight to schedule work here, and that's going to take me to the same place, except for it's going to really focus me in on this project specifically. Cool. So here I am at our team scheduling tool. I'm looking at our number 117 design, dev, and production project. All of those different tasks and milestones are laid out here on the left. And on the right-hand side, I can see my team and their availability. So some of the ways that I might want to sort are, I want to see folks of a certain skill set. I need to focus on everybody that can do copywriting, that can do change management strategy. Or maybe I want to focus on all of these tasks. I just want to get my devs assigned. I just want to get my designers assigned. I can hone in on those different groups and skill sets and things here as well. And then on the left-hand side, like I mentioned, are all of those different tasks and milestones. So here at Team Scheduling, we have some really great drag and drop functionality, actually. We'll take a look at a couple of these resources. We see that Alex actually is pretty open on the 20th. She's completely overbooked. I can click in on her day here for the 20th and see all of the different tasks and items that she's working on. If I even need to reassign some of those out, for example, I see Lee actually has some bandwidth here. So let's go ahead and even just drag and drop one of those tasks over. Oh shoot, the system's letting me know this is actually not a usual work day for Lee. So he doesn't work for us Friday, so that's not gonna work. Okay, well, I won't be able to give that to Lee. Maybe I can come down and see, oh, Anthony has some bandwidth. Great, let's go ahead and drag and drop that task over to Anthony on the 21st. From here, I have a couple of options. I can commit that time. What we're doing here at Team Scheduling is actually scheduling that work to happen. So I can say, hey, Anthony, on the 21st, I want you to work on this task for an hour. Or I can actually schedule it, and it will show up on Anthony's calendar if we're using Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar. And I can say, hey, Anthony, I actually want you to get this done between, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Or I can just reassign that task out so that it's on Anthony's calendar to just get done at any time on the 21st. So a lot of different ways we can schedule work, and we offer those because sometimes things are higher priority. Teams operate in different ways. If I have somebody that's on a sick day, for example, I may pull all of their work from that day and just commit time to other people's calendars so that they're helping out with the work. Maybe they're not taking full ownership of it. They're just contributing some of their time to that work. So let's go ahead and just schedule time for Anthony here to show you an example of what that could look like. We'll go ahead and do this 9 to 10:17 since it was an hour and 17-minute task. I can see that he has nothing else scheduled for this day. If he did, I'd see those listed here. Go ahead and save that task. Awesome. So that's been scheduled now. I can click to the 21st for Anthony and see that same web hosting task booked for an hour and 17 minutes. Anthony will be able to log into his calendar and see on that day from 9 to 10:17, he's blocked out to focus on that task for our client Delta Airlines. Now, of course, I can do that from the tasks over here on the left as well. I can see, it looks like Cody has some bandwidth. Let's go ahead and get him working on this code task for Cody. Go ahead and drop that to his calendar, and let's just commit some time for Cody. Hey, Cody, I want you to spend 3 hours on this code task on the 21st for Friday. Great. As I save that, I now see a different color, but I have that code task for Cody for 3 hours. So let's pause here for just a moment and talk about all of the different colors here at Team Scheduling. I'm sure that's a burning question on everyone's mind. So first, let's start with scheduled activities. That's going to be the yellow here. Anything that's actually scheduled, time is blocked out on that user's calendar, we're calling that scheduled time. Those show up in yellow here. Any of the maroon color that you see here on my calendar is any of those external events. So for example, maybe I was at the dentist from 10 to 11 on Wednesday, And let's check out what I was doing on Monday. I was blocked out something external from 1 to 2. That's letting my team and my managers know that I'm not available to be booked on work from 1 to 2. It's an external event. Maybe I was attending a conference, something like that. That's not related to our client work here in Excello. Now, committed, I know you guys saw that when we booked out this task for Cody, this code task, that came in as a blue color. So committed, again, is not necessarily saying, Cody, do this entire task on this day. It's just taking a couple hours or a piece of that work and saying, I'm going to commit those hours to your schedule on this day. There's still other hours of that task we can see here that need to be allocated out to other members of the team. And then we have the purple. And the purple is really special because we are auto-scheduling work as well. Holy moly, Corey's calendar is just crazy here. Auto-scheduling means that we are taking a long task. Maybe I have a 40-hour task and I need to get it done in 10 days. So Excello can automatically book out 4 hours a day for 10 days to equal 40 hours on that task. It's spreading it out nicely so that as a traffic manager, as a project manager, I don't have to manually go in every single day and book out 4 hours for my team. I can auto schedule it out and spread it out nicely across their calendar so they know every day I'm working 4 hours on this long task. Awesome. So when we think about, all right, we've scheduled out our team, we truly know when they're available. We've been able to work in a more tactical, agile way here at team scheduling, keeping in mind that schedule dashboard is more big picture, it's more strategy. Let's talk about, that was kind of assigning out different tasks and actually looking at the bandwidth for our resources for our employees in the system. Let's take a look at how we could look at work. Schedule dashboard. We focused on team, being able to see who's available into the future, when do we need to maybe potentially hire more people because we're so busy, when can we commit to things to our clients. We can also dig into the different work that we have going on. So it's saying that I need to insert some data here so that we have some data to manipulate. So let's go ahead and look at some of our projects. And I can have different saved filters here to see, maybe I want to see everything that's due in the next 30 days or all of my projects that are in a pause status. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything we have due coming up in the next 30 days. So what that gave me is a list of all of my projects. And I can even start to hone in on the different tasks and the different users within those projects and the different work that is assigned out to them over the next several weeks. That's really going to give me a solid idea of the different types of work that we're doing, how long that work typically takes us, whether it's a website design or if it's a network install. I can see, those types of projects typically run us this long. Therefore, Mr. Customer, I can start to commit to you that we can get your project kicked off after some of these wrap up, at the end of this month. Cool. So thinking back to our project, because we laid out that scope of work here, because we assigned those tasks and those milestones out to our team, we were able to get a really good sense for how busy everybody is. When are folks available to do this work? Who has the right skill set to get this work done? We get a lot of great detail, and all of that can feed into another one of our great dashboards, which is a really hard question to answer in a lot of businesses, which is how utilized are we? What are we spending our time on? And for that, we'll go to our utilization dashboard here from our dropdown. Alrighty, and now at the utilization dashboard, of course, I have some great filters up at the top. If I wanted to hone in on those certain groups again, folks of a certain skill set, I can customize my date range here. In this case, we're looking at a 7-week span. Like Drew mentioned, I want to see how utilized we were in the past few weeks and how we are coming up to current and into the future. So I pulled up a couple of our favorite resources here. We have Alex and Anthony. We know that Lee down below, we looked at him over on the schedule dashboard and we saw that he was a part-time employee. Maybe he's a contractor, maybe he's just part-time or intern, but he's doing work for us and we want to make sure that we're not overbooking him. So we can see what his availability is for each of these weeks. Same thing with Alex and Anthony and myself up above. And I can see how utilized we are. Now, you're seeing some familiar colors here, of course. That green is anything that's billable, orange is non-billable, and anything that falls in the estimated time category, those are things that have been assigned, scheduled, committed, but they haven't been done yet. They haven't been completed, so we don't know yet which category they may fall into here. So I can even turn these off if I really just want to focus on everything that's billable and non-billable that everybody's working on. I am very pleased to see a lot of green across my weeks here. Not so much into the future though, right? Because that work hasn't been done yet. So once that work is done and falls into one of the categories, I'll start to realize that, you know, as the weeks progress here at my utilization dashboard. So let's turn some of these guys back on. And we'll click through a couple of weeks. So this was in the past. I can go and click this week and see, Alex had, you know, almost half of her time was spent on all billable work. Katie was a little bit more diverse. It looks like I spent 11 hours or so on billable work. About 5% of my time, or 2 hours of my time that week, was on scheduled work. Looks like I probably didn't get that finished yet, so I have some overdue tasks and things I need to work on. And then it looks like about 2 hours of my time was external things, so maybe I had a dentist appointment or something like that that took up some of my time. Of course, if I needed to drill down into the details of all of those tasks and assignments, what were the specifics? What clients was that work for? I can certainly do that through the details. Cool. So quick recap, we talked about how that scope of work comes to be, whether that's through a project or recurring tasks on a routine or different to-do items, different tasks against tickets. We can schedule out that work on team scheduling and get a sense of everybody's bandwidth across the schedule dashboard. Really great utilization reporting here in our utilization dashboard. Now as a user, that was kind of from like a manager's perspective, a business owner's perspective, maybe even a traffic manager. But as a user, I have, you know, I'm empowered to kind of manage my own schedule and understand my own bandwidth as well. I can do that by coming to my task list or my task board here, or even my schedule, and get a sense for how busy am I this week? What do I need to focus on today? What do I have coming up that's due tomorrow? I can really take ownership and control of my schedule here and make sure that I'm really just focusing on the work that I'm supposed to get done. So I can see I have some things ahead of me for the day. Maybe I want to reorganize those, reprioritize those a bit. Looks like I have a lot of bandwidth for tomorrow, so I can actually pull in some of these no deadline tasks or things that aren't due into the future and say, I have the bandwidth to get them done. I'll pull them over and change the due date. So this is a place where I can kind of take ownership of my own schedule because those different tasks were scheduled out to me and assigned to me. Awesome. So at a high level, that's really every bit of scheduling functionality within Excello. Of course, we can configure it in different ways. Everything's permissions based here, so we can really control the experience that you want each of your users to have. And just as your team evolves and grows, you can start taking advantage of these different dashboards and functionality to really get some insight so you can make some really good informed decisions of how do we want to grow the business? How busy are we? When can we start committing timelines and things like that to our clients? Awesome. All right, Drew, I think that we have some questions coming through, but before that, let's go ahead and share some of our new expert services with all of our attendees today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie, for taking us through quite a bit of that. What I want to do next, let me grab the screen. Um, so obviously, Katie was able to show us quite a bit. We do have some questions and we want to answer those. And some of you may have a few questions about, I want to take advantage of some of the different, functionality pieces that Katie covered, but I'm not sure how to make that work within my own particular system. And what I want to do is I want to have Katie share a little bit about some of the additional resources that we have available to you, whether you're, a client that's been using Excello for a really long time and you want to get more out of it, or you want to, maybe you're new to Excello and you've got some additional questions after, getting started with the software. So the resources that we have available for you is what we call expert services. So Katie, would you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, you bet. Awesome. So if you're new to Excello, this will be kind of, well, I guess for everybody, this is the first time that you've heard of our new expert services. This is really our first kind of release today. But we've gotten feedback and we've worked with a lot of our clients that, they're coming from, in many cases, they're coming from, 6 to 8 to 10 different softwares or platforms or spreadsheets, all of the different things that they're trying to piecemeal together to keep track of all of the work that they're doing for their clients, to keep track of all of the time that is being spent by their teams. And we're finding that each client is, an individual business. Each customer has their own workflows and their own requirements of what would mean success for them as they transition from all of those platforms over to one streamlined system like Excello. So that's exactly why we are offering these different success packages. It really gives our clients the ability to kind of pick and choose what's the right fit for them at the right time in their business so that they can be most successful in Excello and really take advantage of all of the functionality when it's the appropriate time for their business. So for those who may already be familiar, you may have already gone through implementation and be using Excello today, and some of you may be brand new trying to evaluate the platform to see if it could be a good fit. Typically what we do is, our clients that have the most success in Excello is they go through an implementation, and that is your basic kind of account setup, all of your data set up, making sure all of your integrations are good to go, getting all of your users in the system, and then even team training is included in that. And so what a lot of teams find is, all right, well, let's start there, let's get our feet under us, and then we can start really taking advantage of all of the bells and whistles in Excello, all of the tips and tricks on how to manage things on the schedule dashboard and how to get the best insights that I can over on the utilization dashboard because I scheduled my team correctly. And for those types of tips and tricks and best practices, that's exactly why we offer our configuration consultations package now. So you'll be able to work with product experts and implementation specialists to really make sure that you're getting the most value out of Excello once you've already been set up and you're starting to understand how the platform works. You're really going to be able to optimize all of the functionality in there and start really incorporating it and making it just a part of your daily workflow, that you have all of these reports and functionality at your fingertips there. Same thing with account management. So one of the packages that you can move forward with is getting a dedicated account manager. And that's somebody here at Excello that works with just hundreds of different clients in your industry. So we really can speak your language with you and be an advocate for making sure that you have the resources that you need. Getting on monthly calls, making sure that the team is growing and meeting all of those goals, right? When folks come to Excello, they're coming with some really big business pains, like we have no idea if our work is profitable. We are completely over servicing our clients. I have no idea what my team's bandwidth is to schedule out work. we can help you define those goals and make sure as you start using Excello that we're always tracking to have you be successful with those goals. So that's something an account manager can help you do. And then we're also offering our premium technical support. So for a lot of our clients, they are, on pretty tight SLAs with their own customers. So it makes sense that they really need Excello to be available to them to answer questions in a quick way, whether that's through chat or jumping on a phone call. So we are also going to be offering these premium technical support services where if you have, high SLAs, or if you really want that special touch and somebody to be available over the phone or over chat at a moment's notice, we can start to be that support for you. So just a little preview here of all of those different services and packages. It's a lot of, everything we went through today, even a lot of the questions that I'm seeing come through the chat. A lot of that stuff will come from resources like those account management services and those configuration consultation sessions as well. So it's so awesome that you all were able to join us today, because for our best practice webinars today, we're actually running a special, an early bird special to our new service packages. So the first 5 people that send us in an email to expertservices@excello.com will get their first 30 minutes free on any of those sessions. And maybe that just needs to be a 30-minute consultation session to see what packages might be the right fit for you, to get a deeper outline of what's included in those packages. We're offering those first 30 minutes completely free to the first 5 people that send an email into Expert Services.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. I think we do have a few questions that we want to get answered before the hour is up. I had a question come in, and I want everybody to understand just from a technical standpoint, we will be sending everybody a link to this recording and some additional information that, whether that be some of the question and answers that we were unable to get to, but we'll also be sending you some of that additional information post the webinar to everybody who attended. So we will be following up with you in the next couple of days once we have that recording link published live for everybody. So thanks for that for sure. So what I want to do is take a couple questions from our panel here, and one of the questions that we had it come in, Katie, is with regards to logging our time. How do we verify that the time is logged and approve it before that we send it over to our clients for billing?
Sure. Yeah, so we do have an approval workflow in Excello before we send out our invoices. So we can build that into your custom workflow up top, whether you invoice at certain milestones, or you're totally time and material shop, so you want to make sure that all time logged is captured for on that invoice. So as work is going on, once we need to trigger that approval process, we can certainly do that. But just for our purposes today, I'll come into Tools and I'll go to Approve Work. And of course, this is something for managers that they'd be able to come in and see all of the different time logs that happened and come in and make some edits as needed. So for example, here's Katie that's logged some time. I can see all of the different activities where she's logged time, all of those different time entries. And if I need to...
Do you want to share your screen, or are you showing?
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, let's back it up. Here we are at our project. What I was talking about was coming to this Tools button and going into Approve Work. Awesome. And now that I'm in here again, I'd be a manager or somebody having access to this. I can see all of the different entries that have happened on this project. So there was 8 entries. I can open these up. And as a manager, I can come in and say, ooh, this 5 minutes was marked as billable. It actually needs to be non-billable. So I can start to make some edits there, even to the rates and things. I can say, oh, this was supposed to be at $100 an hour these guys got a special rate and we forgot to make our edit, I have an opportunity to come in and do, a final sanity check before this invoice goes out here through the approval tool. And like I was mentioning, sorry, I didn't have my screen shared before, but we can kind of build that into your workflow, right? I don't always have to come up and go to tools and go to approve work. Whether I'm billing, at the very end of my project, maybe once the project goes into a complete status, we want to trigger that approval workflow and have, a task assigned out to one of the managers to go through and do that sanity check before that invoice goes out.
Awesome. One of the next questions that we had come in, somebody is curious. They're a CEO and their team doesn't always do a great job of time tracking. And what happens at that point? What do you recommend? And what are maybe some easier ways for my team to do some of that time tracking?
Sure. So really that's something that we can help with in team training and part of those consultation sessions as well. It's not just solely up to you, go track your time, guys, please just do it. Like we can help, share some best practices of where time can be logged in Excello and how easy it is to manage their timesheets and really, again, build it into their own workflow and give them training. Here's what it's going to be to come into the system every day, see what you're working on, and log time on your tasks. So one of the easiest ways to log time in Excello is through our timesheets. So over this time icon, let's just go to my weekly timesheet here and take a look at what I have going on. So for my demo environment, I am just awful at logging my time. Obviously, I don't have any time on my time card here, but I have a lot of suggestions. I can see I have some external appointments where I had an hour on Monday and I had an hour on Wednesday. Excel is giving me those suggestions. It recognized it on my calendar. Should I be logging time? So if that's a dentist appointment, probably not, right? I'm not going to get paid for that. That's not related to client work. It's nothing related to, my career development. But maybe one of those external appointments was some sort of conference that I attended for my role. I'd absolutely want to track my time on my time card for that. So I'll go ahead and click my suggestion and I can come in and just log that work. So very easy to put a couple of notes. I'll put it against my internal company, and then that hour will be logged for me. So let's do one that's for a client. In this example, Conifer Paper, it looks like I had 45 minutes assigned to me for this task that was auto-scheduled out to me, that purple color, and I forgot to log my time. So very easy for me to come in. We can prompt the team to put in some notes here if we'd like them to, and that will be billable or non-billable. Great. Very easy for me to log that 45 minutes. Now, even if, oh man, I know I worked on this after hours support on Tuesday, I just forgot to log my time. Cool. I can come in and say, I worked on that for 5 hours. Maybe I'm coming in at the end of the day, or I'm coming in, at the end of the week. However you want your team to do it, we can help you enforce that by making it very easy for them to come in and log their time at the end of the day, so I have 8 hours, or coming in looking back at the whole week of what I got done, using some of these little suggestions to make it easier for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. And another thing, you mentioned skills, you mentioned groups, and being able to filter by those on some of the different views that you talked about today. Where is it that somebody could access the ability to assign skills and groups to some of their users?
Sure. So that's going to be for, admins, manager positions, things like that. And they'll be able to go into configuration here. And through configuration, we can go up to our users and groups. We'll create those users in the system. We can add them to different groups. And we could start to set up skill sets in the system. So if I'm looking at skills, this is going to be a list of all of the possible skills across my entire organization. And then when I go into those users, that's when I can start to assign those skills to those different users. Same thing with groups. Once I have my users and my groups established, I can start to assign those users to be part of certain groups. So here's a list of all of the potential groups within my organization. When you saw me at team scheduling and you saw me at schedule dashboard clicking on my groups, this is all of the groups that I have and the number of people within those different groups.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know that we have other questions out there. I know that we're close to or that we're at the end of time today. So I do appreciate everybody taking some time to spend with us to learn a little bit more about where Excello is able to help your business and get you some additional insight into where some efficiencies could be added or where efficiencies are already working well. I appreciate you taking the time. Again, we will be sending you a follow-up email. We'll be answering some of those additional questions that we weren't able to get to today, and we'll be giving you a link to the recording from today, as well as some additional resources that you can access. Thanks again for spending some time, and we look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.